Welcome to Christian Church, 5505 25th Street in Groves, Texas, where Pastors Paul and Brenda Queen are the pastors. I am Pastor Paul Queen. I'm going to bring a message today from Exodus, the 33rd chapter, beginning at the 13th verse, and it goes as read. Now therefore I pray thee, I have found grace in thy sight. Show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. We are living in times where I feel that it's really important for us to get closer to God, close as we can get to our God. I want to title this today, Divine Revelation. Divine Revelation. I want to use as a theme, benefits of a divine relationship. A divine relationship is a relationship with God and man that the two become as one. In this chapter here, we are talking about Moses, and a lot of times when we are led, we always seek for signs. And sometimes we're like Moses. We get to the place that when we seek for signs, we want God to be very specific about our signs. When we are like Moses, we are led by God. We do not see God's face, but we see his back. And I want to kind of elaborate on that just for a little while, because we cannot see his face because we cannot see him coming, or we can't see what is coming before us. A lot of times we want to know exactly what's going to happen or what's going to happen before it happens. And sometimes we get to the place where we try to pressure God in showing us a sign. But God does not see God's face, but we see his back. And when we see his back, we see things that God has already done and God has already fulfilled in our lives. And when we get to the place where we can see God back, then we can see the signs that are coming in our lives. We always want a sign. But if we look at what God has done, we will know exactly what God is doing. In the chapter today that we are looking at, Moses was definitely looking for a sign from God. On one occasion, he got along with God and he sat down with God and began to talk to God. And I want to remind you of something. He wanted a specific sign from God, but you got to understand, even along the journey, as Moses was journeying to the promised land, he had many remarkable visible demonstrations. He had the burning bush. He had the staff that turned into a snake. He had the 3 branches that cleansed polluted water. He had the pillar of fire by night and the cloud by day. He had manna that came down from heaven. But yet he wanted a sign. And I'm telling you, this was the prayer that he prayed. In verse 12, he said, look, you have told me, lead these people up. You said, I know you by name, and have found favor in your sight. Now, listen to me. Now I have found favor in your sight. Please teach me your ways, and I will know you and find favor in your sight. Now consider this, that this nation is your people. I want you to know something. It is not easy to find God's ways. In Isaiah 55, in verse 8, it says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. So you need to be in a position that you know that his prayer was a prayer that was in a situation that God wanted him to know his thoughts and not a sign. And Moses was at a place where he wanted a sign. But guess what? God never gave him a sign. But God gave him something that was better than a sign. And sometimes we just need to listen to God and see what God is actually saying. God promised him something in verse 14 that I think is very precious today. And I think the time that we're living in today is a time that we need to seek God like we've never sought him before. God said, my presence will go with thee, and I will give you rest. I'm telling you today, I get excited when I begin to think about this, because God said, listen to me, you're seeking for a sign, but you need to understand, you need more than a sign. You need my presence. You need me being with you. What actually God was asking for was a relationship. And I'm telling you, a relationship is something that we have to have when we are in the time that we're in today. We need to draw closer and closer to God. A relationship is when two become one. We talk together. We walk together. We know each other. You know, I thought about this, and I was thinking about times that I go to stores that I really don't know that well, and you're looking for a certain item, and all of a sudden you go to somebody who knows where the item is, and they may tell you, well, it's on aisle 14, aisle 15, but it's even better when they say, well, I'll tell you what, I'll take you as that. God knows exactly where he's going. And if we learn to be one as he won, then we can be in a position that we know exactly what our God knows. We need to let the mind that was in Christ Jesus also be in us. Guidance come or is hinged from a relationship. In a relationship, we get to know each other. We get to know mostly important about our God. I begin to think about last Friday was my wife and our 50th anniversary. And usually we would go somewhere and spend 2 or 3 days and go eat out or somewhere. But because of the pandemic, I asked my wife what she wanted to do. She said, well, let's just take a ride. So I decided we were just going to take a ride, but I had something that I wanted to get her, and I had made up my mind I was going to surprise her. So what I did, I drove to this store that we usually go to all the time, and she was on the phone talking to someone. And when I drove up to the store, she looked at me and she said, don't get me too many. She already knew exactly what I was going there for. Why? Because of a relationship. And that's the way we ought to be with our God. Listen to me. Moses and God became friends because they trusted one another. Moses was not perfect, but he trusted his God, who was perfect. Moses didn't always know exactly what God was going to do, But he knew something about his God that it didn't make any difference what he was going to do, that God was going to take care of him. I want you to listen to this today. If you want to know God's will, you must know God. The guidance hinges on the relationship. And one thing I want you to remember is this saying here, because I'm going to be doing it all out the message. If you seek the guide more than guidance, you just might see the sign you're looking for. I'm going to say that again. If you seek the guide more than the guidance, you just might see the sign you're looking for. Now listen to me. In a relationship, there are benefits. And today I want you to give some of the benefits that we have in a divine relationship. When you and your Father are one, when you're thinking the same thing and speaking the same thing, there are something that God brings to the table for us. Number one benefit of a divine relationship is we have companionship. Verse 14 says, my presence will go with you. I don't know about you, but that's powerful. That means, listen, someone who will be there no matter where you go. I was mindful of Genesis 28 chapter. Jacob was there having a dream. And he seen angels descending and ascending on a ladder. And God stood above him. And God began to speak. And God began to tell him that his seed was going to be just like the dust of the earth. And that in thy seed all the families of the earth was going to be blessed. But this was something that I love when he said this here in Genesis 28:15. He said, and behold, I am with thee, and I will keep thee in all places whither thou goest. I will bring thee again into this land, for I will not leave thee until I've done that which I have spoken unto thee. I'm telling you that makes me excited, because I know that no matter where I go or what I do, that God is there with me. When I pass through the water, he's there. When I go through the river, it won't overflow. When I walk through the fire, they won't burn me, because God is always there for me. Regardless of our condition or circumstances, God is with us. Our situation does not change God. When I'm sick, when I'm well, he's there. When I'm up, when I'm down, he's there. When I'm rich, when I'm poor, he's there. When I'm weak, when I'm strong, he's there. God is there no matter what's going on. In your life today, you need to understand you may be going through some hard times because of COVID-19, but God is there. The second benefit that we have from a divine relationship is we experience his rest. His rest. His rest. I don't know about you. This rest is a calmness, and it's a security that comes from walking with God. Matthew 11:28 say, come unto me all ye that are labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and I am lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burdens is light. I don't know about you. Rest provides the compass point that shows us where we need to go. Rest gives us the physical and emotional endurance to make us correct decisions. Rest is the solitude that gives us wisdom. Rest is the testimony of truth. You need to understand that when we snuggle up to God, I don't care what's going on, I feel secure and I feel confidence in God. So God has given us rest even in the midst of a pandemic. God knows exactly what's going on. Third benefit of a divine relationship is we will be separated, distinguished from everything that's in the world. I thought about Numbers, the 23rd chapter. Balak and Balaam were in a situation that they were thinking, Balak was thinking about actually cursing the people of God. Balaam was the prophet, and he went to the prophet and told the prophet, I want you to curse these people. But when Balaam went to God, God said, no, you can't curse them because they're blessed. We don't know how blessed we are. We are blessed people. We are distinguished above all the people of the earth. We are peculiar people, a royal priesthood, who shall show forth the praises of God. Listen to me. We are not separate because we are weird or odd, but we are separate because we know that God's presence is there. And when you know God's presence is there, listen to me, you'll care for how you speak, you'll care for how you behave, and you'll care for how you think. It changes you. It makes you different. It sets you apart. We begin to think a little different, act a little different, talk a little different. We begin to love a little different and serve a little different. Number 4 benefits of a divine relationship is we will be known of God. Oh, I love this. Verse 17 said, the Lord answered Moses, I will do this very thing you have asked, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. Man, I begin to think about that thing over and over and over again. God knows my name. He who created the heaven and the earth, the one who said, let there be light, and there was light, the one who divided the light from darkness and called the light day and the darkness night, the one who put the firmament in the midst of the water, the one who divided the water above and the water below the firmament, the one who called the firmament heaven, the one who gathered the waters under the heaven, and there became dry land, the one who called the dry land earth and the water sea, the one who said, bring forth the grass and the herbs with seed, the one who divided the light and the firmament and divided day from night, the one who created the moving creatures in the water and the fowls of the air, the one who created the cattle and creeping things on the earth, the one who made man in his own image, in his own likeness, and breathed the breath of life within man, and man became a living soul, the one who in a situation took the rib from Adam and made woman the helpmate. He knows our name. And I don't know about you, but that's powerful to me. God has been so good to us that he knows my name. He can call me by my name. He can call you by your name. We are known by our God. God has been so good to us. Sometimes we just have to continually just look towards God for everything that we have. He knows the number of hairs I have on my head. He knows where you're going. He knows where you go in and when you go out. God knows exactly everything about us. And he knows my name. In verse 18 through 19, after God began to give us the benefits, we see the signs of God. No, it wasn't written in the sky, but everywhere God goes, these signs follow him. What are you saying, Pastor? I think we need to just really kind of just sit back and think about it. We want signs so we'll know exactly what's going on. And God said, I want a relationship with you. And when I have a relationship with you, there are certain signs that follow me, and I don't have to write them in the sky. You have been with me so long, and we have interacted and been so intimate together that you will know my signs because of my relationship. But there are signs that follow them. And most of the time, listen to me, we don't see those signs immediately. Sometimes it's afterward. That's why, listen to me, we can't see God's face, but we can see his back. That's why sometimes when things happen in our lives and we're going through tough situations in our lives, we don't know how we're going to get through it, and somehow we get through it, we look back and we said, only God could do this. Have you ever been there before? Well, it didn't seem like you was going to make it, but God brought it through. There are 3 signs that verse 18 and 19 gives us. Those 3 signs are his glory, his goodness, and his grace. They follow God wherever he goes. There have been times in my life that I didn't know exactly what God was doing, but at the end time, after it was all over with, I looked around and I said, man, this was nobody but God. So God is moving in our life. God wants to see us as one. Moses wanted to see God's glory. He wanted a sign. God said, you can see my signs all the time. As long as I'm present with you and you have a relationship with me, then you can see my signs. I don't know about you, but I'm living in a day and time that, especially the time that we're living in now, that I'm getting closer and closer and closer to my God. I have more time to pray and to seek his face. Don't have a whole lot of distractions. This is a perfect time. People are looking at the harmful side of it, but God has his side of it. Sometimes we just need to seek his face. I want to read this to you as I close. Starting in Exodus 33, starting in verse 18. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory. This is Moses asking. And God said, I will make my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord above thee, and I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy to whom I will show mercy. And he said, thou castest not my face, for there shall no man see me and live. You can't see my face. You can't see my face because my face has my glory. The radiance that comes from my glory. So guess what he did? God took Moses and he said, I'm going to let my goodness come by you. And when he let his goodness come by, he put Moses in a cleft of a rock, put his hands on it, over Moses, so Moses couldn't see the glory. And his goodness passed by. And when he took his hands off, the only thing that Moses could see was his backside. And listen to me, that's all you need to see on God. You need to see what God has done because he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. We too, when we are led by God, we do not see God's face or we don't see what's coming, but his back, where God has been and what he has done in the past. When we look back, we see what God has done and what he's been doing all along. So now it's time to get closer to God. It's time to get that relationship, that divine relationship with God. That a lot of times you want to say, God, listen to me. I need to know exactly what you're doing. No, God, I know exactly what you're doing. You're the same yesterday, today, and forever. Whatever you've done before, you're going to do it again. I've been in times where I didn't think I was going to make it, but somehow God came through. I'm learning to trust Him with all my heart, with all my soul, and all my mind. I hope this message blessed you today. I want us to continually pray for the family. A lot of times people don't want you to mention names, but we know the family that I've texted all our people to pray for every day. And from 7 to 8 on Wednesday evening, pray for the family. We want God to heal them completely, because God is good, and I know exactly what God can do, because He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. May God bless you. I hope you enjoyed my victory song. It was a song that was sent to me by a lady who used to be a member of our church, and she sent that song, and it really blessed me. And when it blessed me, I wanted to bless our people. Ultimately, victory is ours. May God bless you, and have a blessed day.